Welcome to Colorado Inside Out Postgame, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. Let's get a quick take on Representative Doug Lamborn drawing fire this week for his comments at a gathering in Colorado Springs where he encouraged generals to resign, quote, in a blaze of glory to protest the foreign policy strategy of President Obama. Patty Calhoun from Westward, Doug Lamborn has provided a variety of things for us to chat about in this kind of way, but this seemed a bit over the top of not only not disagreeing with the person who asked him the question claiming that President Obama was part of the Muslim Brotherhood, but then going that step further of actually encouraging resignations in a blaze of glory. I don't even know where we start with this, but go for it.
Well, I know where we start. There is only one resignation we would like to see in a blaze of glory, and it's Doug Lamborn. Because unfortunately, in that very safe district, until he decides to resign in a blaze of glory or not run again, he will keep getting reelected and he will keep saying loony things. And I'm arguing against my own best interest because journalists love to quote loony politicians who make gaffe after gaffe. But this one, he has outdone himself. The generals, the president is the commander-in-chief. The generals they're working for the commander-in-chief. If they want to resign or object to what he's doing, they can have their own way of doing it without jumping into this blaze.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. Is the bigger offense what Doug Lamborn said, or the fact that we have districts this safe that people can say whatever the heck they want?
I think safe districts shouldn't be created for the safety of politicians, but it's okay if a naturally drawn district results in somebody who's always going to get reelected. And Pat Schroeder and Diana DeGette in Denver are good examples of that. Denver is now an overwhelmingly Democratic city. It makes complete sense that it is its own district. You know, you can make things more competitive if you split it into three and divide it around with the suburbs. But Denver's its own community, which I think should be able to elect somebody who's got, like DeGette does, and more like Lamborn does in El Paso County, a stronger point of view. And, you know, hopefully by drawing districts naturally with geography and population, you also get districts that are more balanced, like more of some of the suburban districts or you know, other ones. So I think there's nothing wrong with the concept of a very conservative or a very leftist district being able to have a safe representative for a long time who can be a staunch and leading advocate for their interests.
Eric Sonderman, political analyst. I'm assuming we're not going to have a lot of fan base from Doug Lamborn's side of things, since that we already know of his real big support, and I say that with tongue firmly planted in cheek about PBS and public broadcasting funding. But this one was even way over top beyond that. I don't, no matter what he does want to do with Big Bird, but this just seemed wacky. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Penn in terms of defending his former colleague Doug Lamborn, because I know how close they are. No, seriously, what he said was indefensible on a number of scores. If an isolated general, and has occurred throughout history, has a policy disagreement with the president, you can always resign your commission, you can always resign your job. It's a free country. But we don't need a U.S. congressman from Colorado Springs or from anywhere throwing, trying to light the match, trying to light the blaze, to use Doug's word, and then the inference, or more than inference, that whatever you make of President Obama, whatever you make of his handling of foreign affairs, and certainly it's open to criticism of being perhaps too slow with the Islamic State or whatever, you can have that discussion. You do not need to agree with some crackpot in the audience who suggests he's part of the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, that's where any responsible official stands up and says, no, sir, you are out of line. To David's point, real quickly, I understand what David's saying, and there's a lot of rationality behind it. I guess I would just suggest, if for nothing else than the sake of argument, that politics these days is so broken and so polarized, I'd be willing to break up some of these natural districts just for the sake of having more competition. Or there are other ways of skinning that cat, the California model, the Washington State model, which is called top two. So instead of necessarily in a safe Republican district like Colorado Springs having a Democrat and a Republican face off in November, you might have two Republicans face off, and all of a sudden the more moderate Republican who can pick up independent and Democratic votes might have a chance. But the current system is broken, and Doug's an example of it.
Penn Tate, attorney at Greenberg Traurig, also a longtime state lawmaker back when Doug Lamborn was a state lawmaker. I'm not sure we've seen this kind of level from Doug, but you would be one of our experts, knowing him as long as you have. What do you think?
Well, I will take ownership. We served together in the House. We served together in the Senate. And he often said things I disagreed with, and I said things he disagreed with. But, Doug, this is just bonkers, and it's irresponsible. Eric's right. For you to even condone someone in the audience insinuating that the president's a member of the Muslim Brotherhood is offensive, as a U.S. congressman, you ought to be offended by even hearing that and set someone straight. But then to turn around and in my opinion, subvert the very one of the concepts our nation's founded on of civilian control of the military and telling generals to resign in a blaze of glory for strictly political purposes is wrong. And the irony is you do it over a disagreement regarding foreign policy activity in the Middle East, where part of their core problem is there is no separation between military control of a country and civilian control of a country. So you're basically encouraging these generals to act and for this country to become the very thing you're opposed to. You owe the president an apology, you owe your constituents an apology, and you owe the state an apology.
Well said. Well, that is all the time we have for Colorado Inside Out postgame this week. Leave us a comment and tell us what you think. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thanks for watching.